Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva Devaki, who killed the evil-minded people, Kamsa and Chanur, who were tormenting the people. Sri Krishna, who is the bliss of Devaki, the spiritual preceptor of the universe. We shall offer our salutations. We pray to Lord Krishna to lead us from unreal to real, to lead us from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have started studying Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 1, Arjuna's Yoga of Despondency. This first chapter has got many lessons for us to learn. First of all, it tells us that everyone in the life will have to pass through depressions, frustrations, crises, difficult situations, problems. So, life is considered as a battle. Life is a challenge. We have to take the challenge not with weak-mindedness but heroically. We are passing through lots of likes and dislikes, attachment and aversion, jealousy, hatred, all sorts of things. They are the hurdles in our life. So the point is how we pass through these hurdles in an intelligent way. It's quite natural for people to get confused, to get frustration because of some weaknesses. And some may think that they can run away from the crisis and renounce everything and become a mendicant. But it is not so easy. That's not the way of life. Sri Ramakrishna explains it very clearly in the Gospel. Such type of renunciation is called Markata Sannyasa. That is monkey renunciation. A person was having terrible crisis in the home, so he left the home suddenly, went to Benares. All the people in the home were very sad. They didn't expect that this person would take that extreme step of renouncing everything and going away. There was a terrible gloomy atmosphere. But after a month or so, that person who had given up everything and went to forest, went to Benares, he wrote a nice letter. Don't get worried. I am quite safe. So that person was trying to reconcile with the situation. So people have to face all these things in life. So in such situation, what should we do? Surrender to God. That's what Arjun did. He could not control the crisis. He was totally desperate. He became so weak. He lost all energy in the body. But finally, what did he do? Oh Lord, please instruct me what to do. I am confused about my duties. Shri Krishna tells him, well, though you are temporarily passing through this type of false renunciation, your very nature will make you to fight. So your foremost duty is to perform. I understand you are confused about dharma, what is right, what is wrong. Well, it is my responsibility to teach you and make you act properly. So, this terrible crisis which Arjun faced led him to learn yoga, different science of spiritual knowledge. And Sri Ramakrishna has also talked about the divine message of the Gita. What is needed is calmness and forbearance. Never forget. You will have to face hurdles wherever you go on this earth. Wherever you may go. You can't avoid hurdles. You can't avoid difficulties. You can't avoid people talking ill. It's all the nature of the world. Nature of the world. So, hold on to the Divine Master. Practice the divine teachings sincerely, devotedly. Leave the result to God. Face everything face to face. Face the challenge. So life is a challenge one has to face. So the entire Gita was seen in a vision by the pure-hearted Sanjay. He had been gifted to see what was happening on the battlefield, miles away, even to know the thoughts of everyone there. The Bhagavad Gita dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjun and the ensuing battle are all narrated to the blind King Dhritarashtra by the noble visionary Sanjay. Here the question may arise that did Sri Krishna encourage war? No, that's not the point. Suppose a person is suffering from ulcers in stomach. they try to heal them by administering some medicines. Medicines won't work. It has become malignant. So the doctor has to use the knife to cut off the ulcers. Surgery is a resort. So war is like a surgery. Duryodhana and others, they were so evil-minded. They were bent upon making Pandavas die of starvation. So Krishna tried every method to stop the war. Though he knew war was inevitable, at least to make the people understand that he did try, Lord Krishna went to the court of Duryodhana to make peace. But it miserably failed. Instead of heeding to the noble advice of Lord Krishna to stop the imminent war, the evil-minded Duryodhana was even trying to bind Krishna, who came as a peace ambassador there. So war became inevitable. The evil has to be eradicated. Dharma is to be established. So Arjun's duty was to fight the evil, and that should be done at any cost. Dhritarashtra said, "Tell me, Sanjay, what did my sons and Pandu's sons do when they assembled on the holy field of Kurukshetra, eager to fight?" He was very curious to know. Sanjay said, after observing the Pandava army arrayed for battle, King Duryodhana approached his teacher Drona, and he said to him, "Master, look at this grand army, look at this great army of the sons of Pandu, marshalled by Drupad, your skilled disciple. They have heroes, mighty archers, Yudhana and Virata, matching even the great Bhima and Arjun, and Drupad, who is a great chariot warrior. There are Drishtaketu, Chaikitana, the brave king of Kashi, Purujit, Kuntibhoja, and Saibhya, best of men. They also have courageous Yudhamanyu, valiant Uttamojas, the son of Subhadra and the sons of Draupadi, all great warriors. Our leaders too are distinguished," Duryodhana is telling. "Let me name them for you. There are you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, who is victorious in battle, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and Jayadratha, son of Somadatta also, and many more heroes and well-trained warriors, fully armed and ready to give their lives for me. Vast is our army under Bhishma. Theirs is meager in comparison under Bhima's leadership. So now, all of you take your positions throughout your divisions and by all means protect Bhishma. To embolden Duryodhana, Bhishma, the mighty great-grandfather of Kuru elder, roared like a lion and blew his conch powerfully. How did the fighting actually begin? The mighty grandsire Bhishma, oldest in the family, was a very saintly person. But because he was head of the Kaurava family, he felt he had to fight on Duryodhana's side. He couldn't simply change his allegiance at the last minute. He accepted as his swadharma or his predestined duty. Bhishma says, "It's my duty to fight even though I know I am on the unrighteous side." This is the words of Bhishma. And it was Bhishma who actually began the fighting. He gave a lion's roar and blew his conch shell. Then Lord Krishna, Arjuna and others blew their conchs. They responded to the call of Bhishma. This small point is to be noted. The battle was actually begun by the unrighteous Kauravas, not by the Pandavas. A very important point that we should know. The war was not started by the Pandavas, it was started by the Kauravas. Very significant point. Immediately the Kurus sounded their conchs, kettle drums, cow horns, tabors and trumpets, creating a tremendous noise. Then Krishna and Arjuna stood in their magnificent chariot, which was yoked to white horses, and blew their divine conchs. The Panchajanya conch was blown by Krishna, and Devadatta conch was blown by Arjuna, and the Paudra conch by Bhima of terrible strength. King Yudhishthira, son of Kunti, blew Anantavijaya conch. Nakul and Sadev blew Sughosha and Manipushpaka. Immediately, the great archer and king of Kashi, the valiant charioteer Shikandi, Drishtadyumna, Virata, and the invincible Satyaki, together with Drupada, the sons of Draupadi and the mighty son of Subhadra, blew their conchs, filling the earth and the heavens with such a roar that it tore at the hearts of the Kurus. And observing Dhritarashtra's host arrayed for battle and ready to begin, Arjun, flying the ensign of Hanuman, lifted his bow and said to Krishna, "Krishna, please draw me a chariot between the two armies so I can see whom to fight and with whom I must wage war." The signal for the beginning of the war is already given. At this point he wants to know who are the people to whom he had to fight. I want to know who is gathered here intending to please the evil-minded Duryodhana in battle. Thus requested by Arjuna, Krishna placed the best of chariots between the two armies. Then facing Bhishma, Drona and all the rulers of the earth, he said, Krishna said, "Behold, Arjuna, all the Kurus gathered together here." Standing there, Arjuna saw in both armies uncles, grandfathers, teachers, cousins, sons, grandsons, comrades, fathers-in-law and friends. As soon as he saw them as his own relations, kith and kin, teachers, as soon as that sentiment of relationship came, he no longer saw them as enemies. Until then he had regarded them as wicked. But the moment he stood between the armies, he saw those familiar categories instead. On seeing his friends and relatives positioned on both sides, Arjuna was overcome with pity Suddenly he became very despondent and said, "O Krishna, my limbs fail me, my mouth is parched, my body is shaking, and my hair stands on end, seeing my relatives gathered here and anxious to fight." It's good to know these symptoms which we too may face in similar situations, even when we try to fight our own undesirable habits. It was not real compassion he felt, but a kind of attachment. Like a judge who loses his neutrality when he sees a relative in the dock. Arjun forgot they were vicious people the minute he saw them as relatives. He was overcome by terrible attachment. Arjun's bow Gandhiva fell from his hand. He said, "My skin is burning, I can't keep standing, and my mind seems to be reeling. I see bad omens, Krishna. I can't see any good resulting from the slaughter of my own people in battle." See how the mind immediately finds excuses and more excuses. Arjuna is an intelligent man. So he says, "Krishna, I don't deserve victory. I don't deserve kingdom or even pleasures. What use is there for kingdom, pleasures, or even life?" So he was showing himself to be very dispassionate. But is this true dispassion? It's temporary, like Barkat Sannyas. Those for whom we might desire kingdom, enjoyment and pleasures are here ready for battle, having renounced life and wealth. Now, the next phase is, he is talking about some kind of philosophy to Lord Krishna. He said, "Before me are teachers, fathers, sons, and even grandfathers, uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives. Well, though they might kill me, Krishna, I don't want to kill them, even for the sake of dominion over the three worlds, much less just for this earth." So if you look at his approach, it's all based on his attachment. What pleasure would be ours, Krishna, by killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Only trouble will come to us for killing these murderers. He calls them murderers, but he tells trouble will come to us for killing these murderers. That's why we shouldn't kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, our own relatives. How could we ever be happy again, Krishna, after killing our own people? Though their understanding is clouded by greed, and they feel no guilt about exterminating an entire family or showing hostility toward friends. Now Arjun gives another excuse for not fighting. They are all wretched people, murderers. What's the use of killing them and purposely committing sins ourselves? Why does he call them wretched? Because it is true. He calls the Kauravas wretched. Why? If you study Mahabharata, you find through the whole Mahabharata, you will see no criminal offense to which they were strangers. They were all confirmed scoundrels. They secretly set fire to the house where the Pandavas were expected to sleep during their exile. They tried poison. They openly attempted murder. They deceitfully tried to deprive the Pandavas of their kingdom, wealth and wife, Draupadi, was married to all the Pandava brothers. Death is the reward that dharma or destiny will bring to such people, even if they happen to be Arjuna's relatives. Overwhelmed with sentiment, Arjuna wants to save them, even though his duty as Kshatriya, member of the ruling, protecting community, is to destroy evil. The duty of a king is to uphold righteousness. At the same time that he calls them murderers, still he wants to save them and speaks of committing sin. It is an argument based on sentiment. Shouldn't we recoil from such sin? Krishna, seeing clearly the troubles that follow a family's destruction. In Shlokas 38 and 39, Arjuna has been arguing, by this war we are going to destroy the family unit. This is a reasonable excuse not to fight if it is an unjust war. Shloka 39 clearly says, why don't we just avoid such momentous action which will cause so much sin? We know that this war will bring vast destruction and families will be dispersed. Many people will be lost in many families. When a family is destroyed, its time-honored religious traditions also perish and impiety overtakes the survivors. This shloka clearly says, when there is a decline of the family, so not enough people are left to take care of the community and the country, then the sacrificial actions are lost. As impiety spreads, the women become unchaste and the family is corrupted. This causes the intermingling of various communities of different temperaments. With the mingling of communities of various temperaments, both the family destroyed and the family destroyers must suffer in hell without the aid of their descendants' devotional offerings. When communities are confused, religious traditions are ruined, and with it the family's merits, all this caused by those who destroy a family. Arjuna continues, the men will be destroyed in this war. The survivors will be mostly women. And he says, with more women and fewer men, the clean life will be disturbed. Even the women may become unchaste and can be corrupted. That will bring confusion and a mixing of various bloods and mixing also of the various communities. Now this should not be taken literally. By castes, Arjuna means different calibers of people. There are different types of minds with different temperament. The spiritual and most thoughtful thinking group, the warrior group, the business type and the working type. Arjuna warns that these type of people will get all mixed up. In those days it was believed that people should marry in the same group to avoid cultural and intellectual differences. Normally a warrior type of person wouldn't marry a working class person. Not that either one was inferior or superior, but the thinking mechanism was thought to be very different. Such a mixture, says Arjuna, will cause terrible confusion. And this purity of life is disturbed. These are some of the reasons why he didn't want to fight. Krishna, we have heard, that people must suffer for some time in hell when the religious practices of their families are destroyed. Alas, we are bent on perpetrating the great sin of killing our relations, all out of greed for the pleasures of a kingdom. Arjuna's reasons for not wanting to fight are good, but greater than any of these reasons, the necessity to go to war is there in this case because the wicked people have been unnecessarily disturbing the innocent people. So Lord Krishna will somehow educate him about the necessity of this war. Because of this, some people say that Bhagavad Gita propagates war. Could this be a scripture? They ask. Yes, it is scripture, a teaching based on the truth. This shows that war is not always bad. Occasionally there is a just war when innocent people are being victimized by the wicked and there is no way to stop it except by fighting. Something we lose sight of the truth when we get into emotional attachments to people. It is here that Lord Krishna tries to remove the sentimental feelings and bring Arjun back to truth and his duty. But overwhelmed with sorrow, Arjun sits despondently in the chariot and abandons his weapons. It would be far better for me if the armed sons of Dhritarashtra would come upon me unarmed and unresisting in battle and slay me. Having said this, Arjun threw down his bow and arrows and sat down in his chariot, overcome with sorrow. That is the summary of this chapter 1, Arjuna's Yoga of Despondency. The Sanskrit root of the word dharma is dhri, to hold. Who holds us? God. What holds us? Truth. Dharma prevails. If not always, ultimately it must. For in dharma is the very breath of God. Duryodhan went to Gandhari, his mother, on the eve of the war to take her benediction. She blessed Duryodhan, saying, victory will be there where dharma is. It meant that Yudhishthira, the son of Dharma, would win the war. Our body's dharma is service. Our mind's dharma is illumination. Our heart's dharma is oneness. And our soul's dharma is liberation. Why is Kurukshetra called Dharmakshetra? A battlefield can be anything but Dharmakshetra. No. The battle took place on Kurukshetra, where untold religious sacrifices were performed. And something more. Kurukshetra was situated between two sacred rivers, Jamuna and Saraswati, in the northwestern part of India. A river is perpetually sacred. A river houses water. Water signifies consciousness in the domain of spirituality, and this consciousness is always pure, unalloyed, sanctifying and energizing. So Kurukshetra was called Dharmakshetra. The principal warriors were now seen on both sides. Some were eager to fight in order to display their mighty valor, while there were matchless warriors like Bhishma, Drona and Kripa, who fought out of moral obligation. On the battlefield itself, just before the actual battle took place, Yudhishthira walked barefoot to the opposing army, precisely to Bhishma and Drona and other well-wishers for their benedictions. Bhishma, while blessing Yudhishthira from the inmost recess of his heart, said, "My son, please note, Bhishma is telling Yudhishthira, my body will fight while my heart will be with you and your brothers. Yours is the victory destined." Bhishma saying. Drona, while blessing Yudhishthira, exclaimed, "Yudhishthira, please note, I am a victim to obligation. I shall fight for the Kauravas, true, but yours will be the victory." This is assurance from Drona. Blessings over. Yudhishthira returned. There blared both countless trumpets, conchs, war drums and bugles Elephants trumpeted, horses neighed. The wildest tempest broke loose. Arrows flew like meteors in the air. Forgotten was the sweet old affection. Broken were the ties of blood. Death was singing the song of death. Arjuna exclaimed, "Pray, place my chariot, O Krishna, between the two battle formations, so that I can see those who thirst for war." So, after seeing that he was desperated, and he began to feel very weak and shaky. My body shivers, my mouth is parched, my limbs give way. Fear tortures me all over. My hair stands on end, my bow slips from my hand, and my mind is reeling. Hard is it even for me to stand. Krishna, victory over them, my present foes I seek not. They were my own, still they are. Neither kingdom nor ease I seek. Let them attack. They want, and they shall, but I shall not hurl my weapon upon them, not even for the supreme sovereignty of the three worlds, let alone the earth. With one moral weapon after another, Arjuna attacked Sri Krishna. He was determined to discard his war weapons for good. He started his philosophy with the correct anticipation of the slaughter of his kinsman, the dire calamity of family destruction. He emphasized that virtue being lost, family would be caught tight in the grip of vice. This would all be due to lawlessness. When lawlessness predominates, the women of the family become corrupt. Women corrupted, caste confusion comes into existence. In connection with the caste destruction, Arjuna also tells the Lord Krishna that everything is leading toward perilous sin. So, Arjuna was totally confused, and it was so terrible for him to bear with. The most heroic person, Arjuna, became so weak, he was unable even to stand up. Such was a terrible, terrible, terrible crisis Arjuna met in his life. And this crisis was blown off by Lord Krishna, because Arjuna totally surrendered himself to Krishna and ready to follow whatever Krishna would teach him. He tells, "O Krishna, I am your disciple. Please instruct me what to do." One thing is very significant. Arjuna had tremendous full confidence and faith in Krishna. Most dear friend, he completely believed that Krishna would certainly save the situation. So, because of his sincerity and total surrendering to God, Krishna took the responsibility to teach him the duties of life. One has to perform the duty under all circumstances. Running away from the duty and escaping for some excuses is not the solution, because there will be guilt consciousness. The guilt will be, I did not do my duty properly. So, the best thing is to follow clearly what is dharma, what is adharma, wrong, what is right. Think very well. Take the guidance of the spiritual teacher and follow the instruction properly, then you will be able to overcome the crisis. Arjun got over the crisis after Krishna taught him thoroughly the science of philosophy, how to practice in life, and how to face the terrible situation. That's it. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, waiting in His name that bought for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in his empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for Thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is Thy servant, O sweet one. In Thy mercy consider him as dust beneath Thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from Thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with His desire, and the world without Thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at Thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of Thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of Thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O Thou who stillest the hearts of Thy devotees, do with me what Thou wilt, for Thou art my heart's beloved, Thou and Thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous reign tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the free make others free. May good be all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For He being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.